Hey folks, welcome to Unqualified, the fantasy football podcast that's been wondering if their producer will ever return since 2017. I'm your pseudo-producer slash co-host, Scott Johnson, joined by my other co-host, Sean Brady, and we're still waiting on Rob. He's still alive, but I don't know where he is. He's never going to return.
We're going to need the search. The search party's going to go out very soon. And in the meantime, you're doing it all. Shout out to Scott Johnson for doing it all.
Hey, trying, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just trying to hold the family together after Rob abandoned us. It's like daddy left and he won't come back. Anyway, Rob is doing a business trip, and I think the next 3 weeks he's out of pocket, maybe in Chicago, maybe in New York. He has no idea, so we don't either. And good luck wherever you are, Rob. We miss you. But shout out to Rob. He went 2-0 this week, beating me in Hoboken and beating your little brother Connor in Brady Bros. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I may or may not have shot him a reminder text to set his lineup, but you know what?
Yeah.
It honestly wouldn't have mattered because both of his teams went off.
Yeah, I smell a little collusion, but so thank you for that. I actually got irrationally mad about that because I was like, did Sean help him set his lineup? Why did he set his lineup all of a sudden? I was so, little backstory, I was 4-0 in our Hoboken League and cruising. We have a lot of different side bets, so the person that doesn't score the least amount of points in the league continues in a survival pool, and then they get $50 at the end of the season. I got eliminated this past week, so it's on me too. I didn't score a lot of points, but all of a sudden Rob just goes for 158 points on me. But beforehand, 12 o'clock, Sean texts our group and goes, Rob, set your lineup. And I was like, no! Why did someone tell him? No. I don't think there was any iteration of my team that would have won me that week, but yeah, I had a lot of weird thoughts in my head that day.
I mean, let's be real. Losing to Rob is as bad as it gets. It's just the worst feeling. Yeah. So I'm with you on that.
We've both been there this year. Year. So having said that, my record plummets to 24-11 on the year. I went from 20-8 last week to 24-11, but I had a heartbreaker loss in OG League. Michael Thomas got a couple more catches or a touchdown. I would have won, but Sean, you're sitting pretty 10-5. You went 2-1 this week.
Yeah, I got back on track. 2-1 is I'll take it. I definitely was close. Chris Thompson needed a couple more points on Monday Night Football, and I would have been 3-0. But you know what? I can settle for that, especially after the disaster that was last week. So
yeah, it's all good. And Chris Thompson, we mentioned he was going to have a fairly bigger game than Adrian Peterson was Monday night. I think we were right on that. Rob went 2-0 this week, like we said, and is 4-6. So looking close to 500.
Shockingly effective this year.
I think actually he bailed on the pod this week because he's so stuck up that he went 2-0. So first he has some business trips. Now he's a fantasy football guru that actually sets his fucking lineup when he plays me. Whatever. Let's do a little quick bandwagon check-in before we get to teams on bye and then later on the matchups, primetime and all that. My bandwagon is still rolling except for Royce Freeman. I'm kind of off it. I'm going to stay on the bandwagon all year, but not looking as good as it did in the offseason. Philip Lindsay is just vulturing touches. I think he had 15 touches against the Jets, a game which I was at. And Lindsay looked like the more explosive back in person. Royce doesn't. He's not putting it together. They're not getting him the ball in space. They're putting him through the offensive line, just plotting through, and it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. So we'll get to him in a little bit. Mahomes is still killing it. And he just moved the ball at will against the supposed best pass defense in the NFL and the Jaguars. Funchess is uninspiring, but not bad. He's not as explosive as DJ Moore or who's the other guy, Curtis Samuel.
Yep.
Some of their high-round draft picks of late, but still seems like the best guy there. And Rudolph's still top 10, but latter top 10. So bandwagon's looking okay, but Royce Freeman,
Yeah, I mean, Royce, he looked okay, but he just doesn't get the ball enough. I mean, if he was this kind of player and got the ball 18, 22 times a game, you're looking at a rock-solid starter. But if he's only going to get 10, 12 carries with the style of work he's getting, then yeah, I can see how you're a little bit cool on him at the moment. On my bandwagon, Jared Goff didn't kill your week, but didn't win you the week. But you know what? That's going to happen when you have Todd Gurley on your team. There's certain games where he's just going to go, bonkers and win the week by himself. So it happens.
When you're playing Seattle too.
Exactly. So I get that. I'm still a big time Goff guy. Dalvin Cook, I'm just hoping this is the week because it's driving me absolutely insane. again, I understand if a lot of people are trying to trade him, trying to just cut bait, but eventually this is going to happen. The Vikings offense has been out of this world, and they haven't run the ball a ton. That's going to change at a certain point. I know Kirk Cousins teams always sling the ball around, but Cook also can catch the ball out of the backfield better than Latavius Murray. So I think Cook, when finally healthy, will be very effective for you. Josh Gordon scored that 500 touchdown. It was a thing of beauty. He just makes plays. He's not getting enough volume right now to be an every week locked-in starter, but you could do a lot worse when you're going for an upside flex, I would say. So I wouldn't not play him, but if you have a better option, I could see going with more volume. But again, we're getting closer to the time where he's a guy that you're just super juiced up about putting in your lineup every week. And then Dallas Goedert, tight end sucks. Cut me a break. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? I want to, before we get into teams on bye, I was just thinking about this today, and the Patriots offense is scary.
Oh, yeah.
It is insane. Running game with Sony Michel, plotting, getting 20 carries a game, looking like a solid running back, 2. James, so I just had something to say. Rob had James White on Thursday night. He's the most frustrating player to play against.
Oh, yeah.
Because, especially in a full PPR league, because all of a sudden, at halftime, he just has 17 points, and he didn't make any crazy plays on Thursday. He just got 7 catches, 70 yards, because he got half the catches from Tom Brady that day. He had 4 rushes, 30 yards, and I was like, what the fuck? This guy didn't do anything this half, and he has 17 points, so he's a crazy PPR value. They start getting Josh Gordon in the mix, and he was Tom Brady's 100th receiver to catch a touchdown, right?
I think it was something like that. And he's just a scary talent. Let's be real.
And Edelman back, in the slot. I think he had 65% of his routes from the slot this past week against Indy. This is a scary team. They have Cordarrelle Patterson. They have Phillip Dorsett. They have Gronk. They have Chris Hogan, who's looks like the odd man out, but crazy. Anyway, teams on bye this coming week for week 6. Got the Lions and the Saints. So the Saints offense is insane. They look like one of the best teams in the NFC if the defense plays like they did Monday night against the Redskins. But Breeze, Kamara, I wouldn't overreact about Kamara. I would still play him. I think he just needed a breather, and they were really excited about getting Mark Ingram back. And it was a lot of game flow. They were up a lot. So they're probably saving Kamara. Mark Ingram, plug him in, running back 2 now, said, and love it. And you want to talk about their wide receiver tandem here?
Yeah, I mean, Michael Thomas, not a huge game for the second week in a row, but it's coming. Believe me. I mean, I think they're obviously going to lean on the running game, and Ingram and Kamara, very similar to what we saw last year, so there's going to be a ton of value there. But I think Michael Thomas is still a guy that's a locked-in, probably top 3 wide receiver. And then Traquan Smith, this guy is just a big play waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. I think he's a rookie, and again, if he's going to really take that spot from Ted Ginn, he's definitely an intriguing pickup this week. I wouldn't start him yet, but definitely eyebrows raised. I'm intrigued by this guy, Traquan Smith.
Yeah, and Cam Meredith had a couple catches too. He fumbled the ball, and it wasn't a make or break. I think it was right before halftime, but the Saints were up by 10, so it kind of made it closer, and you could tell Sean Payton was pissed off. So Cam Meredith did well in the beginning, but I imagine Traquan Smith is a higher upside play. And then the Lions, Stafford, again, QB1. Kerryon Johnson, I'm really excited about. He didn't play at all in the fourth quarter because he was hurt. But before that, he had 12 carries for 70 yards. And he's not a running back 2 yet, but I can easily see a flex. I don't, and we're going to get to this with the Packers, because I'm going to go off on Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. I was actually about to say this is the same exact situation. Same
NFC
division.
North with rushing.
Yep.
Yeah. The NFC North rushing is horrible this year. That's a side point, but I don't understand why they give the ball to LeGarrette Blount as much as they do. It blows my mind. It makes no sense. The guy's, I can run faster than him. He doesn't even hit guys that much. Whatever. And then they have 3 top 30 receivers. Golden Tate's a slot guru, and Galladay is going to be the best receiver there. We mentioned that in the offseason. He's the best receiver. He's the one the guy you want there.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we throw a lot of hate at Marvin Jones, but look at his target share. It's still there. So he's definitely still a playable guy. I know he hasn't gone off like he did last year, but he's not a guy you're dropping. Maybe he's not a guy you're starting right now, but would something happen to Golden Tate or Galladay, obviously he's the guy that you want to plug in your lineups. All right, let's get into some primetime games. And Thursday night is a game of two teams that are shockingly close in record. They're not, they don't have the same record, but the Eagles are not where we thought they'd be this far in the season, and they're taking on a Giants team that is just in classic Giants fashion all over the place. There's drama, there's losses. I feel like there's always a meltdown when Odell and the Panthers match up, so last week was nothing short of that. But Philly, they beat the Giants the last 3 times. I don't see that changing this week, but they're not the same as last year, so there's going to be a lot of questions moving forward with the Eagles. And it starts with J.J. He openly questioned the play calling, and then, just in true Eagles fashion, it was released that he tore his ACL. So I don't know what you're doing, J.J., but just do something else. Come on. You got to feel for the guy, but
be better.
That opens up a can of worms with those backup running backs, Wendell Smallwood, Corey Clement, both worth a pickup. I think both of them are banged up also. So basically the healthiest guy here is going to be your winner and a possible flex starter. Alshon Jeffrey had a rough matchup against Xavier Rhodes, who finally looked like Xavier Rhodes last week. I don't know. The Eagles are scaring me a little bit. I still love Wentz as a QB1, probably lower end, but I don't know what to make of this Eagles team moving forward. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Aguilar, like the beginning of the season, love for him. Like he's probably benchable. He's getting a lot of targets, like 5 or 6 per game. But now that with Jeffrey back, like he's just a duplication. And Zach Ertz is probably the best receiver there anyway. Dallas Goedert, yeah, here and there, but. I think Corey Clement is going to be the 1A, the Wendell Smallwood's 1B. Corey Clement has been out for the past 2 weeks, so I think they're both speculative ads. If they haven't, I think Clement got dropped in like 15-20% of leagues, so could be out there for sure. Darren Sproles has been out for a couple weeks, so they're probably going to promote Josh Adams again from the practice squad. But yeah, it's just going to be a timeshare. Like I wouldn't even, like they're going to be the hottest pickups this week, but. I would temper expectations. They're just going to split the work, and I think you're going to see Smallwood coming out of that backfield as the best all around back by like week 8, 9, 10. Like he could get you over the playoff push. So I'd rather have Smallwood. He just did so much more than Clement did on a yards per carry basis and a yards per touch basis 2 weeks ago when Ajayi was out, or 2 weeks ago. The Giants though, like the only guy you really want is obviously you want Odell, you want Barkley. Those are the only two. Besides those two, like maybe you want Sterling Shepard as long as Ingram is still out. But there's this crazy stat. I have to double check it, but that the touchdown pass from Odell, I think it went 35 yards in the air, 40 yards in the air. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's more. They haven't had a aerial pass that far in the air that they've completed since week 5 of last year.
Oh my god!
So remember we said that stat about the 30-point thing, and it's been like 2 years or whatever. Same goes for that passing stat. I have to double check it. I didn't get the right stats there, I don't think, but you get the idea. Eli's the problem there. He's got to go.
Yeah, I mean, give him a little bit of credit because I think Eli actually topped that on his touchdown pass to Odell, but. I mean, still, that's a crazy amount of time that he's not going deep. Yeah, occasionally he'll go deep, but Odell, regardless of the touchdown production, has still been very productive this year, but he's right. I know he's going to get a lot of flack for what he's talking about with the Giants offense and saying that, he would love to score easy touchdowns too, where he just beats guys off the line and beats people deep. And he's right. He hasn't been able to do that because Eli doesn't go deep. So I know he's going to get a ton of shit coming his way, but Odell, I gotta hand it to him. He's telling the truth. I mean, obviously he shouldn't be doing it, but he's 100% right, and that's why I think he might be a sell high candidate based on this, because you can't change Eli's arm right now. It's not going to happen. He can't throw touchdown passes to himself, so I think Odell is definitely a sell high candidate for sure. I mean, obviously that's very risky strategy, but you heard it here first.
Yeah, and he's a target monster. He's still getting like 10 to 12 targets per game. That's wide receiver elite status. Target-wise, but this is the first touchdown. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns with the passing one. This is the first receiving touchdown he's out of a year. So it's just not working. There's something not clicking. Like, we'll get to Julio Jones, who has 0 touchdowns this year, too. I mean, he's been allergic to the end zone, but Odell has never been. He's always had double-digit touchdowns every year. So, sell-high candidate, I don't think he's going to pump it up any more. Eli's on pace for like 18 touchdowns this year. It's not going to do it.
All right, let's look at the Chiefs and the Patriots, two teams that are absolutely electric on the offensive side. This would be the game of the week if it wasn't in our primetime category, but regardless, this is a game you're going to want to be watching on Sunday Night Football. Again, the Chiefs could not be slowed down by the vaunted Jaguars defense, so I don't think this Patriots defense has they have no chance, I would say. I know Bill Belichick's a master game planner, but the Chiefs lit them up last year too. Andy Reid, he's just a absolute offensive football savant. So the Chiefs, you're plugging them all in. I mean, I don't know what you want to think about Watkins, but you're plugging in all your Chiefs. And then on the Patriots side, again, we talked about them a lot already. They're all scary. You want a piece of this offense any way you can get it. Either if it's one of the running backs, plug them in. If it's Edelman, or even if it's Josh Gordon, if you're desperate, plug those guys in because you want a piece of this game.
Yeah, and the Chiefs defense finally stepped up against the Jaguars, but it was the Jaguars. Like, let's be honest, it was Blake Bortles. He fumbled around and threw 4 picks. Like,
classic.
Blake Bortles is Blake Bortles. He's not an elite guy, yeah. And he was just put on smokescreen for the first 4 weeks. And if you can't do it against the Chiefs defense, like, you're not going to do it. I think Brady's going to be huge this game. One thing to keep in mind, so I don't know if you remember, like a couple of years ago, it was probably 3 years ago now, the Patriots were like, I don't know, 1-2 on the year, 1-3 maybe. And they lost to the Chiefs in like week 5. And everyone was like, oh my God, this is it. The Patriots are done.
Oh,
the Chiefs
yeah,
just beat them.
I remember.
And the Patriots, you remember that? And the Patriots just like turned it up. Like they went like 9-1 in the rest of the year or something like that. So yeah, like here's the biggest takeaway from the first 4 or 5 weeks. Don't freak out on teams. The Steelers won. Like the Patriots are fine. The Patriots are the Patriots. You got a couple of games to figure it out in the beginning. But yeah, I think Watkins to go to the Chiefs is a flex play weekly. He's getting enough target share and route running that he warrants that. And yeah, Patriots, I agree. Put Edelman back in. He's Brady's safety blanket. He has 7 catches last week.
All right, let's look at the Monday night game, which is definitely not of the same caliber. Maybe coming into the year it would have been. But again, we lost Jimmy G to injury, and now the 49ers of the Packers does not have the same ring to it that it would have had, you know, if this didn't happen. So again, and I'm looking at both teams. They're both underwhelming offensively. I know Aaron Rodgers absolutely went off last week, but on the 49ers side, you really want to keep Kittle in your lineups, but I'm not crazy about Matt Breida anymore. He keeps picking up these little injuries, and eventually, I don't know. I feel like he's just going to be out for the year. And I'm not really loving Alfred Morris's production either. So outside of Kittle, I'm not loving the 49ers. And then on the Packers side, I mean, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, where did you come from? I mean, Devontae Adams had a great week. Aaron Jones needs the ball more, and we know this. That's a weekly conversation that we have with the Packers. But this guy, Valdes-Scantling, what do you make of him?
I mean, it was just because Allison and Cobb were out. He's like the 4th guy there, basically. He's a solid, like, deeper league pickup, like 14-team league, as long as Allison's out. Even if Allison is back in and Cobb is out, like, basically if one of the guys between Allison and Cobb are out, you can plug him in a deep league, but he's not an add in standard leagues. Like, he was just a filler-in guy, and Rodgers is proven to, like, turn those guys into something. But yeah, to stay in the Packers, I am so angry that Aaron Jones doesn't get the ball.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
It blows my mind. The guy had I remember looking at the game score, and I wasn't watching Red Zone because I was at the Jets game, but I see Aaron Jones had 7 carries for 40 yards within like a quarter and a half, and I was like, oh, nice. Like this is the game. Jamal Williams had like 1 carry for like 2 yards because that's what he fucking does. Ty Montgomery had like 1 catch for like 4 yards because that's what he does. And then all of a sudden, you get to the third quarter, the fourth quarter, middle of the fourth quarter. Aaron Jones, 7 carries, 40 yards. So I was like, is he hurt? What are they doing? Like, I don't get it. They're playing catch up, and apparently he's not good in pass protection. So moron McCarthy decided to put in Jamal Williams, who he's just not a good runner. Like he doesn't cut it. I don't get it. So I think Aaron Jones is a buy low target. They have to know, like, why wouldn't you give him the ball? If Aaron Rodgers and McCarthy are this like pissed off at each other, which seems to be the talk every year, but this year it feels like a little more real, and McCarthy's on the hot seat now. Why wouldn't you give the ball to Aaron Jones and just take some pressure off of Rodgers? So one thing I'll say about Rodgers, like, yeah, so sorry, not to flip-flop, but the 49ers, Breda is a sell high target. He gets way too hurt. Just sell him. Get what you can. Morris is an okay play this week. Kittle, top 4 tight end, basically. He played college football with C.J. Beathard, so that's kind of cool.
I didn't know that. That's nice.
Yeah, at Iowa. So got some good chemistry there. But the Packers, Rodgers, in non-division games, in 2 games this year, has 3 touchdowns to 2 turnovers. In the 3 division games he's played, he has 7 touchdowns to 2 turnovers. So plays way better in division games. I don't think he'll do as well as people think, if that makes sense. I think they're going to run a lot. I think they're going to be up against the 49ers. They're not going to need Rodgers to throw it for 400 yards this week like they did last.
All right, let's get to our quick hitters, and we like to up the pace here. We like to get on the wagon and hit the nitrous.
Oh yeah,
in our wooden wagon,
brooms.
We got the nitrous attached. Let's look at the Cardinals.
I like that.
Going to Minnesota to take on the Vikings in their beautiful complex. The Vikings just dispatched the Philadelphia Eagles, who are vastly superior to the Arizona Cardinals. This is going to be an absolute bloodbath, and it's going to be all purple on Sunday. On the Cardinal side, David Johnson's back, and I could see him getting a lot of garbage time work here, a lot of garbage time points, but I don't think you're playing anybody else on that Cardinals offense. And on the Vikings side, I'm just going to throw it out there. The Vikings D has not looked like the Vikings D yet, but this is the week you want them in your lineup. They're about to absolutely eat Josh Rosen alive. I mean, I know they're missing a couple guys, but they're just too talented not to. The offense, the only question I have for you is, are you scared of Patrick Peterson in any capacity here?
No, not too much. I will say the Cardinals, before last week, didn't give up a touchdown to wide receivers all year. So in the 3 weeks before that, they didn't. And then the 49ers, Trent Taylor got his first touchdown of the year against them last week. But that was kind of a weird game. It was a throwaway game. They're 2 of the bottom teams in the NFL. I'm not too worried about Patrick Peterson. Who's he going to cover?
Exactly.
Is he going to cover Thielen in the slot? Is he going to cover Diggs on the outside? Even Treadwell has had some value this year in deep leagues. So I don't think he has any, and that's not as scary of a matchup as it used to be honest with you. Yes, he's one of the top 15 cornerbacks, but he used to be top 2. So on the one thing I will say is Kyle Rudolph might have a tough game. The Cardinals have been 9th best against tight ends, and they haven't before Sunday when Kittle got 83 yards on them. They hadn't given up more than 57 yards to a tight end this year. So that doesn't bode too well for Rudolph. He's not the focal point of the offense. Kittle is on the 49ers. So it's kind of give and take there. I could see him getting under 50 yards, though. So I would temper expectations. And I mean, just plug in Thielen, plug in Diggs. Don't plug in the running game because they're bottom 3 in the NFL in terms of rushing. I think they're actually the worst.
Yeah, just keep in mind that Cardinals defense is, first off, they're not a good team. But their defense is good in the red zone against wide receivers, and they're good against tight ends. If you add that up, this could be a huge Dalvin Cook game if he does play. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All right, let's look at the Bills and the Texans. The Bills, I don't know what's going on there. They're surprisingly winning some games. Josh Allen is just making stuff happen. It's not pretty at all, but it works. So, we'll just see what happens. I don't know about this game. The Texans are, I think, going to run away with it, but, just honestly, the Bills, Sean McDermott, head coach, is pretty good, and the Texans' Bill O'Brien is really not good. So just the coaching alone could keep this close. You got to plug in your Texans, though, and my biggest question is, what do we make of Kiki Kuti? Another touchdown this week. I don't know if something's up with Fuller. He probably is hurt, but, I'm kind of avoiding talking about LaShawn McCoy. I don't know if you noticed, too. So what do you think of LaShawn McCoy, and what do you think about Kiki Kuti?
LaShawn McCoy, is he back? No. You got to slow the roll. Ivory had 14 carries last week. Who they play last week, the Bills?
They beat somebody pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. They're a scrappy team. But, yeah, Ivory had 14 carries. It was just all game flow. Oh, they beat the Titans. So, yeah, I would temper expectations with LaShawn McCoy this week. Houston is still, it's a middling matchup against running backs. I think they're 19th best against running backs. But if you look at before this past week, Indianapolis had 14 carries for 30 yards, and then Dallas had 23 carries for 64 yards. So against them, so they're slowing down rushers of late, and that offense is really surging. So I think teams are going to have to throw it on them a lot, and that's not going to bode well for the Bills. So Go on the Texans side, yeah, Cootie is an interesting pickup. Fuller was hurt going into the game. It wasn't like a game time decision, but he was pretty close to it. So I'll just chalk it up to that. And actually the Cowboys aren't too bad against the wide receiver. So DeAndre Hopkins, matchup proof. Fuller, still plug him in as a flex. The running backs are a mess, but I think Dante Foreman is scheduled to come back week 7, so he's not a bad stash because Miller sucks and Alfred Blue is even worse.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were always huge on Dante Foreman last year. I kind of talked myself into Miller this year, but if you have the space, pick that guy up because he's probably the most talented guy regardless. Yeah. And with how ineffective those running backs are, definitely not a bad idea. Let's move on to the Seahawks and the Raiders. The Seahawks played extremely well on offense last week, which was shocking to me.
Yeah.
The running game looks great. Mike Davis and Chris Carson, both guys not picked in the first round this year by the Seahawks at running back, and they're both getting it done. So that's always very interesting. Russ is going to be Russ. He's obviously a guy that is not the top of the QB1 discussion as he has been in years past, but he's still definitely startable, and I think especially this week. And on the Raiders side, Amari Cooper just needs to go away. Can we just get rid of this guy, please?
Fucking, he's unreal. 1 catch for 10 yards. I knew it was coming, and I was trying to talk myself into it. He had 8 for 128 and 1 touchdown 2 weeks ago. Then you put up a fucking 1 catch for 10 yards. Get out. You're off my lineup. I'm so sick of playing him. I'm in a couple leagues. He's on the last spot on my bench, and I swear, if he gets 2 more games like this, he's off. Seahawks, though, if they run like this, keep on running like this, which they've had a propensity to do the past couple weeks, as long as Carson is healthy, and Mike Davis is healthy too, Russ is vaulting almost into the QB1 discussion as long as they run it like they did. So when they have it, here's what you got to look for. If they have a good running back matchup, Russ seems to do well. They have a really good running back matchup this week at the Raiders. Russ is probably going to do well. Plug him in. If they're playing like the Eagles, I don't know if they are playing the Eagles, but if they're playing a top 3 or 5 or even 7 running defense, I would bump Russ down because then he's going to have to rely on throwing it to Doug Baldwin, who has 2 bulky knees. So one kind of under the radar guy, Nick Vannett, we mentioned him last week. He actually has a good matchup. The Raiders have been pretty susceptible to tight ends all year, and besides the Rams week 1, who don't have a tight end on barely have a tight end on their roster. So Nick Vannett, if you need a deep sleeper as a tight end, plug him in.
And I really like Tyler Lockett. He's getting it done in Doug Baldwin's absence. We'll see what happens when Baldwin comes back and is at least on the field more, but for now, Lockett's a guy that you should definitely be owning, and I would consider as a flex play for sure moving forward, especially against the Raiders, who just can't stop a nosebleed.
Also, I'd just like to pat us on the back. On the backs, we said to pick up David Moore in deeper leagues. Dude got 2 touchdowns this past week.
Love it.
Come on. Pretty good. Anyway.
All right, let's look at the Jaguars and the Cowboys, what should have been a matchup of premier number 4 overall running backs, but Leonard Fournette, we're just MIA. Can we send a search party out? I mean, what is he, hanging out with Rob? We haven't seen him. This is crazy. Again,
Leonard?
You're not Rob. You're not Leonard. The Jags D has not been as good as we thought, and obviously they were never going to be as good as they were last year. It's just unsustainable at that point. But it also could be that the Chiefs are just really good. I think they're a really good play here against the Cowboys because outside of Zeke, there's nobody that scares me on the Cowboys. Obviously, you're playing Zeke. He's a locked and loaded RB1 for the Cowboys. I don't think you're playing anybody else. And on the Jag side, I don't know. Bortles is what he is. He's a QB2, and he'll have some good weeks, but you're going to have weeks like the past week where he throws 4 picks, and it looks like he has no idea what he's doing on the football field. So, again, that Jags offense, as long as you get that volatility with Bortles, I'm staying away.
Yeah, one thing I want to highlight. So actually, we talked about this last week. 538 has predictions on every game, and they take statistical analysis across weather conditions, away, home. And it's incredible. They're right on. They predicted, like I said last week, they predicted the Eagles to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl last year. They have the Cowboys as a 53% win or percentage to win this game. So it actually might be closer than we think. The Jaguars just got fucking crushed by the Chiefs. And the way I see this game going is the Jaguars have 2 of the best cornerbacks, right? Cowboys don't even have a wide receiver that you can name besides Beasley. So this could be a Beasley game, and this also could be a Jeff Swaim tight end game. If you look at the Jaguars, they've been 3rd best against tight ends, but Kelsey just had 100 yards against them. They had some chinks in the armor there. So Jeff Swaim, I think they're going to throw it in the middle to Beasley, to Swaim, and they're going to run it a lot with Zeke. So he's an okay play if you're like waiting for Jimmy Graham to do better, if you lost Delaney or whatever. Not a bad pickup.
And I just want to highlight really quick, I have to mention it. The Jags picking up Jamal Charles. I don't know what that says about TJ Yeldon, but I'm intrigued. I'm not rushing to pick him up yet, but I'm at least keeping an eye on this because if Fournette's injury continues, Jamal Charles could find his way into that satellite back where you're just playing in space, catching the ball, right? He doesn't need to be a guy that gets 20 carries to be effective. So I'm definitely keeping him on the radar moving forward.
Yeah, and what I think he'll do is like what Corey Grant just did, right? He could get like 2 catches a game, 3 catches a game, maybe a couple carries here and there. So I wouldn't get scared. I think TJ Yeldon's still like a top 25, top 20 guy, or top 20 actually, as long as Lenny's out. I'm gonna call him Lenny.
I love it.
Yeah,
Lenny, and it could be a big Swaim game, so look out.
All right, so we haven't had some comedy, some scheduled comedy in a while. Some would you rathers.
We got to spice it
perhaps. Up. So yeah, we're gonna spice it up a little bit this episode. Basically, without Rob, we have fun when Rob's not here. No, I'm just kidding. We don't. That was rude. Anyway, we're gonna have some comedy in honor of Rob not making this pod for the second week in a row. And a little Nicolas Cage edition of Would You Rather. You ready for this? Your favorite dude? My guy?
Oof.
Tell me you're ready. Are you ready?
I mean, I guess. Rob wrote this segment, and I think he did it specifically to fuck with me, just because he wouldn't be here. Thanks a lot, Rob. Appreciate it.
Yeah. LFG, let's fucking go. Would you rather go on a tropical cruise with Nicolas Cage or have to work as a cross-country trucker with Nicolas Cage?
Oh, God. This is a no-brainer for me. I'm going on a tropical cruise because at least on a tropical cruise, you're on like a humongous boat where you could kind of just like, make your way away from him. If you're sitting in the front seat of a truck with Nicolas Cage for a long time, cross-country, that I can't do that. That proximity is just not going to work.
I have a stipulation for you. The tropical cruise, you have to do every activity together while you're on the cruise. So you have to go on the slide together. You have to go to the bar together. You have to go to the club together. Like every single thing you have to go together, and it's a 10-day cruise.
That's fine. It's still better than sitting in a car with him because all you can do there is just listen to him talk in his weird voice.
I'll go cruise too because at least you're getting like a little vacation out of it. Cross-country trucker, no thanks. Would you rather... Oh, man, this is in the spirit of fuck, marry, kill. Would you rather marry Nicolas Cage or fuck Nicolas Cage?
Oh, Jesus.
Dude, what was Rob doing today?
I want to know what Rob would say to this.
I think I would marry and fuck Nicolas Cage. That's what Rob would say.
I would have a very contentious marriage with Nicolas Cage. I mean, I know that the second option is just a one and done, but at least I'm getting a tax break out of it.
Ooh, good point. I don't know, man. This one sucks. This one absolutely sucks.
How about I just kill myself if I get this?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Fuck, marry, kill. You can fuck or marry Nicolas Cage and kill yourself. I'll kill myself too. I'm fine, everyone. Don't worry about me. I wouldn't actually do that. I would marry Nicolas Cage as well for the tax break. Would you rather talk to Nicolas Cage about his favorite play or listen to Nicolas Cage sing ABBA covers for 4 hours?
Oh my God. Okay, so here's the upside of the second option. You could like record that and just put it on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure that would go viral. So that's a minor positive. The real question though is how long can he talk about his favorite play? If that's over 4 hours. Oh, it's also for 4 hours?
I'm gonna say it's 4 hours. It's another stipulation I'm adding in.
Oh, jeez. I'll go with the second option. There's a no win here. Let's be real. But at least you're getting some variety.
You're going to listen to Nicolas Cage sing, like, Dancing Queen by ABBA.
I feel like that'd be really funny, actually. I kind of want to hear it right now.
That actually would be hilarious. Oh, God. 4 hours talking about his favorite play is tough. But I feel like you can zone out pretty well. Like, if I hear him singing ABBA covers, that's going to... you know what? ABBA's got some jams, man. Like, that's going to ruin the songs for me. And, yeah, it'll be funny, but, like, I'll never be able to hear Dancing Queen. Not that I listen to Dancing Queen or anything. But I'll never be able to hear that song again and, like, keep a straight face, or I'll just want to, like, blow my brains out. I don't know.
Oh, fair enough.
Would you rather... Dude, what was Rob doing today? Would you rather share a sauna with Nicolas Cage or share an Airbnb with Nicolas Cage?
Sauna, because this, again, you can't put a time limit on the sauna because there's a natural time limit. You can't be in there for longer than a certain period of time. You don't have to spend a weekend in an Airbnb with him. So I'll go with the sauna for sure.
Great point. Yep, I'll take that too. Just, yeah, and I'm not doing Airbnb because you got to stay a night, right? I'll add this in. I'd rather do a steam room than a sauna because then you don't have to look at them. You don't have to look at them, listen to them because it's kind of louder. Sauna, like, I don't know.
A little awkward.
Whatever. I'll take the sauna. Would you rather wrestle Nicolas Cage or MMA fight Nicolas Cage?
This is my favorite one so far because I would actually like to do this. I'm gonna go MMA fight just because if I'm getting down with Nicolas Cage, if we're duking it out, there's got to be no rules.
You're wrestling.
There's got to be very minimal rules, like basically somebody pulling me off of him before I just destroy and end his life. That's the only rule we need. Wrestling, there's too much to think about. I feel like I wouldn't be able to handle, like, they have to like reset you, so you're like hugging him from behind. It's just awkward. So I would go MMA fight.
It's a good point. That got dark there for a little bit. Did you realize that?
Yeah, it did.
You got like.
Sorry.
Did you see red a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
You're just fantasizing about that. Yeah, I'll go MMA because you can like choke them out. You can knee them, kick them. You could use all parts of your body. Wrestling, I don't really understand it. I have massive respect for people that wrestled in high school and stuff like that in college because like I can't lose weight that quickly, and my LBS, my low blood sugar, would kick in every single day. But yeah, I'll MMA fight him. I won't wrestle. I'll MMA fight him.
And you get to wear those cool gloves. That's just half the fun.
Yeah, those are pretty badass. You could bring them into the octagon, brother.
Okay, let's look at the interesting matchups. I'm just going to blow right through the fact that we don't have a new name for it yet. But again, active in the channels. The Colts at the Jets. There's a saying, a broken clock is right 2 times a day. And that's what I think of when I think about the Colts and the Jets. They're both, let's be real, they're both not good teams. But this could be a very exciting game if things break right for both offenses. On the Colts side, Luck looked like really, really good against the Patriots. And Nyheim Hines has come out of absolute nowhere and just become basically a PPR RB2. He's definitely the most exciting player not named Hilton on that Colts offense. So he's a guy that I would probably plug into lineups this week because the Jets, you don't know what you're going to get week to week. On the Jets side, I know I just told you last week to drop Robbie Anderson. I still don't think that he's going to do this every week. I think that
no way.
He'll have weeks where, he goes off for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he did it on 3 catches. So you got to keep that in mind. And I think it was only 3 targets. So that says it all. And then Crowell, this is like the definition of sell high, is on Isaiah Crowell right now. This guy had a monster game, but there was no way the Broncos were stopping him. The Broncos defense is not what it once was. So I think that was a big part of what happened, okay, because we know Bilal Powell also had a good game. Just keep in mind, Crowell is a guy you probably want to just cash in on right now.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. You go for 3 yards last week, and then you go for 213, 215 the week after. Yeah. Okay. Sick, dude. Yeah, Robbie Anderson, like, maybe you could do a speculative ad, but he threw it 3 times to him. I think he only had 3 or 4 targets. The Colts, Luck, yeah, he looks like a QB1. I just think we need to get everyone thought he was like the next coming of Peyton Manning. He's not. He's like a Big Ben. Like, he's good. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say Big Ben. I don't know who I want to relate him to.
I got it. I think
he's not like
the rich man's Matthew Stafford.
Nice. I'll totally go along with that. Yeah. He's just not like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. He's not one of the GOATs, I don't think. Especially with his shoulder. Yeah, he's good, but the guy throws a lot of picks. And he's 29 now or 28. Like, let's get over that, guys. Anyway, Nyheim Hines, I think he's like James White, basically. PPR running back 2. One of the best pickups if he's not already picked up in your league. And the best running backs this week.
All right, let's look at 2 teams that are kind of like shockingly good this year. The Bears are leading the division right now in their division. The Dolphins are looking like just a weekly problem for other teams, right? And they're not, the top elite teams in the league, but both these teams are very good. They're both well coached. I really like both of them, especially on offense. On the Bears side, they're only 2 weeks removed from that huge explosion they just had. Trubisky, I don't think you're plugging into lineups yet, but again, like, he just had 6 touchdowns, so you can't ignore that. We talked about Cohen a lot last week. love Tariq Cohen. This guy is he's just electric. I can't even think of what to say about him because he's just out of this world. He's, again, the rich man's Philip Lindsay. He's a guy that you definitely want because as that Bears offense evolves, he's going to start getting more and more work. On the Dolphins side, Khalil Mack on the other side of the ball really scares me. I don't think there's a single Dolphin I feel comfortable starting. And, just one thing I'll tell you to just keep an eye on him again. Jakeem Grant, another huge big play this week. He's the only guy that I'm keeping an eye on because he just looks like he just has elite skill sets. If he starts touching the ball a lot more, he's definitely an interesting pickup.
Yeah, and they didn't give him any targets or maybe they gave him a target or two, but he didn't get any catches. So he's just like a gadget guy. But yeah, I think one of the best plays this week is the Bears defense, honestly. And one thing about Trubisky, don't forget, he was second overall in the NFL draft. He has that pedigree. I mean, yeah. Carson Wentz went second overall 3 years ago, right? So everyone was like, the six TDs 2 weeks ago were... I mean, yes, they were an indication of the matchup against Tampa Bay, but I don't think he's... I mean, we said in the offseason, I was saying, this team reminds me of a poor man's version of the Rams last year. And Trubisky, not that he's going to do as well as Goff did last year, but now he's on pace for it. He almost matched his season total of touchdowns 2 weeks ago that he had all of last year. He had 7 touchdowns all of last year, so... I think this is a tough matchup for him at the Dolphins. They have 2 solid outside corners. If A-Rob is going to be a tough matchup, I would avoid him too. But yeah, I would play Tariq Cohen. Mixon just shredded them for 22 carries, 93 yards, and 4 targets with a receiving touchdown. So play Cohen. I think he's the guy there now.
And that makes me so happy because Jordan Howard, love you, but you're kind of a boring guy. Sorry, it just is how it is. Let's look at the Chargers at the Browns. This one is definitely one that I'm going to want to be watching on Red Zone because I don't know what to make of both these teams. They both look like world beaters one week, and then they look absolutely terrible the next week. This game could go many different directions. I think the Chargers are probably going to handle their business here, but you never know. The Browns are scrappy with Baker Mayfield. On the Chargers side, I love both running backs. I think Keenan Allen owners have to be getting very antsy right now. I think he's a buy low candidate, and I think he might be one of the best buy low candidates of the year right now. You saw what he did last year. There's a reason you drafted him so early, and it's because once they start to settle in a little bit more, he's going to absolutely explode. He was huge down the stretch last year. He didn't have a good start to the year. So I think he's a good buy low. Go for it right now. And then on the Brown side, oh man, that running back tandem is eventually going to get interesting. I don't know. What do you think of that? Because you're a Carlos Hyde owner, so I don't live it every week, but you're on the inside. You're on the inside there.
Yeah, he's still the bell cow right now. Technically, he still is. I know Chubb had 3 carries for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, and then if you remember this, Hugh Jackson is a liar. He That's said. True. Last year, remember Isaiah Crowell was the main running back? He was like, "Oh, we got to get him more touches. We got to get him more touches." And then he get 5 the next week. It doesn't. Maybe he just says that. Maybe he's smart. Maybe he just says that to I don't know, get the upcoming team off their, I don't know, off their game. But he said Chubb was going to get more carries. He got 3 carries again. He's not taking anything away from Hyde. So Hyde's an injury away from that. I understand that. Knock on wood. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But he's still the guy you want. Duke Johnson, again, same thing. Hugh Jackson was like, yeah, we got to get him the ball more. Didn't. I want to talk about the Browns. They could very easily be 5-0 right now. They had an overtime tie to the Steelers. Week 1. Should have won if they made that kick. Last minute loss to the Saints. Should have won if they made 2 kicks. Then they cut that kicker. And then they lost to the Raiders in that overtime thriller. But Baker is a winner. So I think this is going to be a very interesting game. I don't know that they're going to win. I think the Chargers have too much talent on offense, and the Browns don't have that much talent on their offense to overcome the Chargers' defensive woes. But yeah, really interesting game. I think stick with Hyde, plug him in. Chargers are middling against the run, and then Jarvis. I think he's underwhelming, but in the slot, he's going to be. This is going to be a good matchup for him. The Chargers have Casey Hayward on the outside. I don't think he doesn't really shadow in the slot.
All right, let's look at the Ravens at the Titans, and the Ravens have been, very good offensively. They weren't quite as good this last week, and the Titans, they come off beating Philadelphia and they lose to the Bills. So that's the definition of mediocre, if you ask me. both teams are pretty good on defense. They both have good defensive head coaches. I know Harbaugh is a special teams guy, but their defense is their calling card. So I honestly don't see a ton of offense going around here. I think John Brown is a guy that needs to be rostered and started. He's a very, very high-end flex. He's probably a low-end wide receiver too, as long as he's their top guy, which he is. We saw basically his floor last week, and it's really not that bad. You can live with it. So I love John Brown. I don't love the running back situation. And then on the Titans side, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, Corey Davis is in that like high-end flex category. He had a tough matchup with Tre'Davious White this past week and didn't do terribly. But again, the running back situation, these teams kind of mirror each other. It's just you don't know what to make of it week to week.
Yeah, and the Ravens should have Jimmy Smith, their like cornerback star, coming back this week, I think, or maybe he came back last week. I don't really know. But that's tough for any number one wide receiver. Like it's looking more and more like that game for Corey Davis against the Eagles was an outlier. And maybe it was because it was overtime, maybe because it was home and it was against the defending champs and they were just amped up. Maybe it was because Philly's cornerbacks have all underwhelmed this year. Corey Davis is just a matchup guy, right? And Ravens is one of the worst matchups. So I don't see him doing well. The running backs I don't see doing well either. John Brown is the best play here, and I think Joe Flacco is actually another good play. I know we mentioned it last week, or I did at least, that he's doing well this year, and he didn't do well against the Browns, but we did say that was going to be a defensive plotter battle. This seems like he could shred the Titans a little bit. And they have good safety play with Kevin Byard. He's one of the best safeties in the league, but I think John Brown can open up that offense tremendously, even against the Titans and him.
Okay, let's look at the game of the week contenders. And this first one is a nice NFC South matchup for both offenses. The Bucs going to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Can you say shootout? Now, here's where it gets interesting. I think with the Falcons, you're pretty much starting all of them. The biggest question I have is about Devontae Freeman and, his health moving forward. But, I think he's going to reclaim his job as soon as possible because with Ito Smith getting work, he's probably feeling a little antsy, I would say. On the Bucs side, though, outside of Mike Evans, who I think is a solid wide receiver one, look, if this is going to be a shootout, I don't know who else on the Bucs is going to have that huge game. It could be anybody. It could be Godwin, could be Deshaun Jackson. I don't think it could be Ronald Jones, but maybe it will be. I don't know. What do you think about the Bucs moving forward, Scott?
It's got to be Cameron Brate. Brate's going to have a huge week this week against the Falcons. I know Vance McDonald on the Steelers didn't do anything against the Falcons this past week. They're the Steelers tight end. But Cameron Brate, coming off the bye, has Jameis Winston back, who I think I heard something or read something that he was the third, either last year or over the last 2 years, he was the third highest targeted player in the red zone behind Devontae Adams and Jimmy Graham. Wow. I think he was number 3. So Jameis Winston coming back has an off bye week at the Falcons in a dome. Cameron Brate is one of they've had a lot of chemistry. OJ Howard's still out. I think this is a huge game for Cameron Brate. I think you could plug him in, and if he gets one catch, so be it. Like, tweet at me, get at me. But I think Ronald Jones is a good pickup. Not the best pickup, but he's the pass catching guy, and Peyton Barber is just brutal. One thing I want to say is Julio is we've known he's allergic to the end zone, but as we see Calvin Ridley start missing out on like red zone opportunities and getting less touchdowns per catch, which I said was going to happen, like Julio's going to get some touchdowns here and there, but I just think you gotta wait it out, and then if he has a big game, if you can't deal with that, you can sell him high. But I think wait it out. This is gonna be a shootout. This is the game. If he doesn't do well, then I'd be concerned.
Absolutely. Let's look at the Steelers at the Bengals. Another divisional matchup that I am very excited to watch. This is the classic bloodbath, the AFC North war that goes on every year, twice a year actually.
It's a brutal one.
This one could be nuts. Okay, so on the Steelers side, Bell is going to be back so soon I can almost taste it. James Conner, who I know had a big week, and I actually think is more of a product of the offensive line. Get at me, whatever. Get active in the channels if you want to call me out on that. But Le'Veon owners finally going to get their guy back probably next week, if not the week after. I will say, though, on the wide receiver side for them, AB's heating up, and Juju is definitely cooling down. He's definitely more of a high-end wide receiver 2 at the moment. I know he was a wide receiver 1 for a little bit, but this is more of what we expected from them when the year started. On the other side, the Bengals they have some elite personnel.
Yeah, and it's hard to know. To go back to James Conner and Le'Veon Bell, it's really hard to know what to do there. What I envision happening, and correct me if you think differently, but let's rewind a little bit. Le'Veon Bell, the reason he was so pissed off and didn't sign is because they first of all offered him a franchise tender, which means you'd have no guaranteed money unless you actually play. He was on the franchise tag last year as well, and they gave him 400 touches, which is insane for a running back.
Yeah.
If you've seen historically running backs that get over 370 carries, there's like a curse of 370. You should look it up. It's kind of cool. It's not cool. It's interesting. I shouldn't say cool because they get hurt. There's a curse of 370 carries, and there's also a curse of like 400 plus touches. He got over 400 last year. Came out fine. He didn't get hurt. Dinged up. I don't know, banged up or dinged up. I was trying to say one of those. So he wanted guaranteed money. He wanted like $40 million a year, like Todd Gurley and David Johnson got this offseason. They only offered him like $17 million. He got pissed. So that's why he's sitting out. So what I envision is if the Steelers want to sign him to a longer term deal, which they do, as much as they say like, oh, it's stupid, he's not coming back. Of course they want to re-sign him for a couple of years in the offseason. They'd be wise to limit his workload so that he doesn't get 300 carries in 10 games and go, no, you guys just did the same thing. I'm off. I'm going somewhere else. So I envision he'll get 60, like 2/3 of the carries, and James Conner will still get a third. So I think James Conner is the perfect sell high target to the Le'Veon owners, and you could get maybe like a Tariq Cohen or buy low on an Aaron Jones plus a Galladay, something like that. I think you could probably package those two.
Yeah, I love that strategy personally because, again, I just don't know what that awkwardness is going to look like when Bell does finally come back. So I think that's a good plan moving forward, and I'm with it. I mean, I don't own either of them on any of my leagues, but if I did, I'd probably be following your advice right there. So nice work. Let's talk about the Bengals before we move forward. Look, this Bengals personnel is really, really good. AJ Green is an absolute monster when Andy Dalton's playing as well as he is. He's a locked-in wide receiver 1. Tyler Boyd is like a lower-end wide receiver 2, but he's somebody that should be starting every week because he's just, even, his floor is 4 catches for like 50 yards, which is not going to kill you. And then Joe Mixon is back. He's a running back 1. You got what you paid for. Great gamble in the 3rd round, and he's a guy that you definitely want moving forward. Really excited about Joe Mixon. All right, let's talk about the Rams and the Broncos. This game, obviously we talked about the Broncos being a little bit of a mess, but anytime the Rams are on a football field, they're in the game of the week contender because they are just must-see TV. Best offense in the league. I think the biggest thing here this week, what's unique about them, is that if Brandon Cooks or Cooper Kupp or both of them miss time, Robert Woods is like a wide receiver 1 if that happens because this passing offense is not going to be stopped. So that work is going to go somewhere. Obviously, Gurley gets a nice uptick as well. But if one or both of those guys miss time, I love Robert Woods this week.
Yeah, and he's like almost a wide receiver 1 even with them, right? Like Kupp is. I thought it was going to be this order: Woods, Cooks, and Kupp in that order. It's just like the 3 of them just go off like pretty much every game, and it doesn't seem like it's going to stop. The Broncos, I will say, got shredded by Robbie Anderson. Bradley Roby is just playing way out of his zone. Like he got torched. But I think both times by Robbie Anderson. So Woods is a wide receiver, bona fide wide receiver 1 in this matchup. Daily fantasy play as well. Goff is also a nice play after Sam Darnold shredded this Broncos secondary for 3 touchdowns. Broncos. You might think Demaryius is back. I think this is a sell high time. It's like the perfect sell high time.
Oh yeah,
he scored in garbage time. Like I was at that game, they looked terrible all the whole game. They were shutting Demaryius down. Sanders is like the number 1 guy there. They're also trying to get Cortland Sutton, their rookie wide receiver, in the mix. And Demaryius, like he wasn't out there for that many plays. Like if you look at snap counts, I don't want to say Sutton had more, but they almost had even amount of snap counts and routes run. And Demaryius again scored in garbage time. So. You can play him, but know that he could get 4 catches for 22 yards like he has been all year, especially against Marcus Peters. And the Rams, pretty good secondary, and it's a perfect sell high time right now. Royce Freeman, just put him on your bench until he proves otherwise.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of like late career Brandon Marshall from Demaryius Thomas right now. Maybe like late career Plaxico Burress, where like, he's huge and he makes plays occasionally, but the consistency is not going to be there. So I agree with you.
Right.
Definitely sell high. All right, let's look at the Panthers at the Redskins. And this one is very interesting to me. I feel like we never get to see these two teams play each other. I could be wrong, but I just feel like I'm just intrigued about this matchup. Redskins could not keep pace with the Saints in New Orleans, but honestly, on that night for Drew Brees, nobody was going to. I think this one could be a really fun game. And it really starts with just the fact that both teams are so distinct in their offensive approach. So they both use like a satellite back, McCaffrey, and then Chris Thompson for the Redskins. I think both those guys will have good games despite good linebacking cores on both teams. I really like those guys moving forward. And then the receiving situation is very interesting on both teams because there's not really like a guy. I know you like Funchess, but it really comes down to like both quarterbacks are probably playable, and I think both running backs are about to go off.
Yeah, I completely agree. They do have very similar running backs. I think, listen, like Alex Smith is going to Alex Smith. I know like he was top 5 guy last year. But he has worse weapons, like we said. And Adrian Peterson is only an option in non-shootout games, right? Like Chris Thompson is the guy. Like Breeze just shredded that defense. I thought the defense was going to be good, but he shredded that defense Monday night. They were on one. I get it, but Alex Smith, if you were watching that game, I was watching the whole game because I was rooting for Michael Thomas to get like 2 more catches or 3. Alex Smith was under pressure almost every single pass play. It was insane how like much that Saints pass rush just like stepped it up somehow out of nowhere. So I think AP is in trouble if that defense keeps on playing like that. This could be a shootout. The Panthers just beat the Giants with like 33 points. I wouldn't overreact to Jordan Reed. I think again Alex Smith was literally pressured like every single pass play and against a hyped up Saints team. So Jordan Reed, this is an okay matchup. The Panthers are pretty good against the tight end, but could be another shootout a little bit.
And keep an eye out for Greg Olsen, possibly back this week, but again, like he's dealing with a tough foot injury. So I would rather miss his first good game back and then plug him in after that point. So you want to kind of wait and see with him.
Yeah, you can like pick him up if you have an IR spot. Perfect place to put him for now. Last guy on your bench kind of thing. But that fracture in his foot, he opted for no surgery, and last year he re-aggravated it like right when he got back out there. So I wouldn't play him like plug him in yet. But yeah, I speculative ad if you have, again, like Delaney Walker and you're just like slumming it with poor tight ends right now. If you have like Evan Engram and he's out too, or OJ Howard. All right, that does it for Week 6 preview. 5 weeks in, we're so I guess we're like a third of the way through the season.
Yeah, fantasy season at least.
Usually like 16 weeks. Wow, damn, that's kind of sucks. I love fantasy season. Stay active in the channels. Let us know if you like this what do you call it, format, like the games. Each game we can go quicker through the quick hitters, we can go longer for the game of the week, whatever the people want. Let us know in the channels,
and please let us know a name for the interesting matchups because it's just getting old.
Yeah, that one sucks. It's a very interesting matchups, the intriguing matchup. We're gonna call it the intriguing matchups next week. How about that?
I mean, it's better, but it's not where we need to be. We need listener input. Get active in those channels.
Listeners. We're gonna put some polls up. I'm gonna put some polls up on that. Let's do some polls.
Oh, I like that. Let's poll.
Yeah, that's right. Hell yeah, brother.
Poll season.
We're gonna do some poll seasons.
Well, see you later.
See you later.